Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Sara, the Access Officer at Mansfield, and I have some international students here. We're going to be doing a Q&A, but we'll start with them introducing themselves.
Okay, hi, I'm Leighton, and I'm from Beijing, and I'm studying physics at Mansfield.
Hello everyone, I'm Tabaya. I'm a second year mathematician here at Mansfield. I'm from Italy, close to Venice.
Hi everyone, I'm Lumi. I'm a first year here at Mansfield studying PPE, and I'm from New York.
Hi everyone, I'm Yixuan, and also you can call me Cassie, and I'm from Beijing, not Beijing, Hebei, China, and I'm studying material science. I'm a third year student.
Hi, I'm Yasmin. I'm a second year human sciences student. I was born and raised in Bangkok, Thailand, but I'm an Australian citizen.
Excellent. Okay, so the first question is, why did you apply to Oxford and why did you apply to Mansfield, if you did?
Recently, I was just suggested by a friend to try it out, and it was kind of like, I mean, it's famous, so it was like, oh, let's give it a go. It happened to go well, so I got taken for interviews. I didn't choose Mansfield as a college. I chose Balliol because it was the first one in alphabetical order, which is not a good reason to choose a college, but I think it turned out to go very well for me. I don't know. People usually choose colleges according to the community which involves them and whether they think they will fit in. And it's really a matter of choosing a place which you feel like might be home for you to study and to fit in. And Mansfield is very welcoming when it comes to that. So yeah.
I went to Oxford largely because of my course. So I went to an international school and I did A-levels. I did history, biology, English, and math, so like a wide range of subjects. And I was actually really hoping to go to the States to do liberal arts because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, I want to do a bit of everything. But a lot of my friends were applying to the UK. So I was like, I'll give it a shot, like look at what there is to study. And then I found human sciences, and it was just a course that really like combined like my interdisciplinary interests, and I really liked how the course is framed by themes like sustainability and like humanity, and I mean these are things that we all need right now especially. So I applied to Oxford mainly because of the course, and then I applied to Mansfield because my course is quite small, so there aren't that many colleges which offer it in the first place. But when I was trying to pick between the colleges, like I didn't really know anything about the college system, so like honestly it was a really stupid reason, but I applied to Mansfield because of the vegetarian food, because we're supposed to have the best vegetarian food.
I probably chose Oxford for similar reasons as Yasmin, because obviously like my course is a little broader than some other courses because it's like kind of 3 like topics in one, and I really love that Oxford offered that, where I didn't necessarily have to choose right away, because in America they don't make you choose as you enter university. You kind of can like wait to choose until a few years later. So it was daunting to me that the UK made you choose as you entered, but kind of the fact that my course like didn't necessarily like hunker down on one thing right away just really was appealing to me. And I applied open offer, but every time I think back on it, I am just like so thrilled that I got placed at Mansfield, especially because like I came from a state school in the US, but I had no idea of like what it was like in the UK at all. And then just the fact that there are so many state school kids at Mansfield, which like I feel like happened by total coincidence that I was placed here, just made me feel like so much more like I belonged and really happy. So and also just Mansfield is super small, and I came from a huge school, and I love that it's small because everyone gets to know each other and form like this really great community. So I really love that.
I'm studying physics, so it's quite broad and every university offers it. And I guess you could say I was too lazy to look into physics at every uni. I just kind of picked university based on prestige. And for me, it was between Oxford and Cambridge at the time. And I decided to go for Oxford because Cambridge doesn't actually offer physics in the first year. I have to do natural sciences. And that's the main difference, I guess.
For me, it's very similar to Leighton actually. I chose because my course is material science, and I was choosing between Imperial, Cambridge, and Oxford. And the thing that mattered to me is because like Oxford offers material science as a individual subject, and I really want to dig into it in my first year. So yeah, I think that's my reason for choosing Oxford. And also I chose Mansfield as my college because I looked at the map and it's actually the closest to my department. Not actually the closest as I now know, but yeah, it was really the reason that I chose Mansfield. But yeah, when I came to Mansfield, it's a really good experience because it's a small community, so it's very engaging, and everyone gets to participate in a lot of activities, so it's very nice. Yeah.
Okay, obviously you all have quite different experiences because you were applying from different places, but could you tell us a bit about what the application process was like for you?
As an international, I had a bit of a different thing when it comes to predicted grades, meaning I didn't have them. So I had to score a certain minimum on my final exam, and I already knew what I had to achieve, and that was it. Aside from that, I remember in doing my MAT exams, I actually met my first Oxford friend, who we both applied to completely different colleges, and we both got sorted out in Mansfield. So that was very lucky. The MAT test itself, I did have to prepare myself quite a bit on my own for that. But to be fair, it did make me realize that I quite love what I was doing. So it was a good test in a way. As for the interviews, I found that they were much more pleasant and much less stressful than I thought them to be. At least it seemed much more of a friendly chat with lots of people interested in what you're also interested in. So it was much more about like testing out the environment and say, oh yeah, I actually like being here. And then seeing whether they actually like you being there. And yeah, after I think 1.5 months-ish, I got the results, and then all I had to do was take a language exam and achieve the final scores. Yeah, it was fairly linear for me.
I would say for me it was pretty simple as well, just because like if you're applying to the US, you know how complicated that is. You have like a million essays to write and a million different reports and things to submit. So for the UK, just writing one personal statement, which was sent to all my unis, was pretty easy. And I was really lucky in that like I went to a British international school, so they had experience with the UK process. So I was really lucky that I had college counselors who like knew what a personal statement was and knew like that I'd have to do interviews. So like applying was pretty simple. We might go into the interview process later, but I really enjoyed it. Similar to Tobiah, like just being in the UK for the first time was really cool. Seeing the Christmas market, made quite a few friends actually at interviews, like some of whom got in, others didn't, but we've kept in touch and it's been really nice. Like it was a good experience and it wasn't too stressful. Like overall, I mean, interviews are stressful obviously because you're nervous, but as a whole it was pretty seamless.
Yeah, I also had I was really lucky to have some college counselors who were aware of the UK process and helped me kind of walk through it. But since my school, like it wasn't very common to apply to UK schools, it was kind of like I was taking it seriously, but it wasn't kind of like processing in my mind that this was actually a school in a different country. And so I think I kind of like, I submitted the application and I applied to take the tests and stuff, but I kind of wasn't really like understanding what this might mean. And then as soon as I went to interviews and being at Mansfield is just like so incredible, and at interviews especially with like how you meet all of these new people who are from all different places, and also just kind of everyone is super interested in the same things as you. I felt like that really kind of opened my eyes to what I was actually doing and how I was actually applying to something in another country. And after going to interviews, it just became a lot less daunting and a lot less scary that that's what was happening. And but kind of for me, for like the application process, I had to, I didn't have things like A levels really. I had these other things called AP exams, and mine were more like you can take them in advance of your last year before uni. So I kind of was lucky because I had already met some of the requirements before I before I got my offer, which a lot of UK students don't necessarily get to do. But the fact that that is like a possibility was really nice because I got to relax a little bit more than they did, for example.
As feeling really long, the application process, even though it was simpler than the US, because I was also applying to the US as well. And I remember some US applicants getting their results, I think in February, or some even earlier in January. And then they were done, and they were just like, they could basically relax. But I think the whole process for the UK, at least, or at least for Oxford as well, is I started in October, I think, with the PAT, and ended after I got my results, my IB results, which was like the start of July. So that's like 9 months. And yeah, like it felt like super long, but it's still really simple compared to most, at least compared to the US. But I think what helped me the most, at least like in my application process, was just to look at successful essays or successful personal statements, and also just really get familiar with the interview process and the PAT. Oh, the PAT is super important for physics, at least.
Can you say a little bit more about the PAT? So it's the physics admissions test.
Yeah, so I was just looking into like some videos. There's like a pretty famous YouTuber called Simon Clark, I think, and he does a lot of outreach and just stuff like this. And he was also studying physics, and he was talking with some of the admissions counselors, and they said that like the PAT was almost like an elimination tool. So they would use the PAT to determine who would get in before the interview, and even after the interview, the PAT was still a major contributor to like whether you got in or not.
How did you prepare?
Doing past papers and just questions that are on the syllabus.
Could I just jump in with the TSA? So I know like quite a few subjects also have to do the TSA. I'm not sure how important it is, like in human sciences or in other subjects, but again, like you can prepare online. I did a few past papers, but I have a friend here who's doing PPE, and he said that he did like 10 or 15 years worth of past papers, and you get to this point where you just see patterns and it becomes easier and easier. So I feel like, I don't know how difficult the PAT is compared to the TSA, but I found the TSA hard. But I really think that if you just practice, like it will be okay. And it's online and it's free.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
Then for me, the application process is also quite standard. I actually went to high school in Singapore. So they had some past experience of students applying to UK universities. So there's a counselor who gave me advice on my PS, and so I also did PAT. And for me, I just did past year papers and discuss with friends. I think in Singapore there are lots of people applying for UK universities, so I can discuss with them when after I did the PAT. So I think if you have some friends who's also applying, you can just work together.
Yeah, you all talked a bit about the kind of interview process. Do you want to maybe tell us a bit more about what it was actually like?
And for Singapore, the interview is slightly different. I did Skype interview, so I didn't really came to Oxford before enrollment. So the Skype interview is a special room for you, and you just get in, and there's some whiteboard for you to write your answers on. Yeah, it's quite fun. Yeah, there are specific requirements for a location or a venue to receive the interview invitation. You see the requirements for is needed in the rooms. So in terms of the interview process, So there's definitely going to be some technical issues that might happen, like the audio, like internet that's not working. But I think the important thing is just not to panic and ask for help whenever needed. And I think the interviewers or the tutors all know that these things can happen, so just don't worry about it. But I think those are the difficulties that can be overcome, and as long as you just keep calm and carry on, yeah.
Interviews, because I think there's a bit of a division between humanities and hard sciences, at least when it comes to interviews questions. I mean, at least math-wise, it's exactly what you would expect. And that is, you ask problems basically. Less, I mean, a bit less expected is the whole like development of the solution. So you ask the problem, and what they want to see is not exactly the solution, but rather the methodology going on. So it's really much more about showing you got method, and you got an idea of how to proceed when something unknown pops out in front of you. Like a very common theme is just pulling out some material which is completely unknown to you, because they're just going to test out how you react to something which you don't know. And just see how you work from there. So it's really not about gobbling up all the theory you can, but rather trying and understanding the most and developing your mathematical understanding of what's going on.
Actually say like it's the same in the social sciences, at least, with like the methodology emphasis, because so I had an interview in ecology and in anthropology, and I would say like I'm not sure what it's like in the humanities, like in English or history, but they really just want to see how you work through the problems. And like if you don't know something, like they expect you to just say you don't know, and they'll like give you a little piece of information, and they just want to see how you use that to continue your reasoning or to continue your argument. So I would say there is still that emphasis on methodology, though perhaps in a different way.
Yeah, I would second that as well, or third that. And I feel like when I went in the night before, I just remember like reading all of these things. I was like, I have to know every like possible philosophy thing that they could possibly throw at me, because I was panicking that I hadn't taken philosophy courses before, and it is like an A level that some UK students had taken, for example. But then when I got in there and after, I kind of realized that it like was less about what you already knew and more about just like your ability to, like you guys were saying, work through the problems and take what they've given you and kind of make something out of it. And they basically, the tutors don't expect you to like be able to answer any of their questions, like, but wait, look at this, and then you kind of start to understand it. So I definitely don't think that maybe if you haven't taken some kind of course that you think is necessary to prepare for it, I don't think anyone should worry that they'll be unprepared for the interviews.
And the next question is, what is student life like as an international?
It seems philosophical, but life is what you make it, I suppose. So it really is shaped a lot by one's own decisions. So Oxford is comprised of a bit of academical life, that's the only bit. But lectures don't take that much time, and neither do tutorials really. So your own student life is a lot, again, in your own hands. What is kind of like the result of this is that you have a lot of freedom when it comes to organizing the whole of your time. It has this system called clubs and societies. It's actually quite fun. It's kind of like a nice thing to look forward to. And there's like lots of sports you could picture, or sports you couldn't picture, like Quidditch. Lots of societies, from the very posh tea appreciation society to book clubs to, I don't know, I think a Doctor Who society. As you can picture, I went for the very nerdy ones. You make it what you want, what you be made of.
Yeah, I would say like as an international student at Mansfield in particular, like to be honest, Mansfield isn't that international. That's just a fact, and I think it's also because Mansfield is a small college. With that being said, I don't think that it was a problem in any way because Mansfield is quite small and people are so welcoming. I think that this was a blessing in that I got to like meet British friends because I have international friends at other colleges who just hang out with other international people, which is natural. Like you gravitate towards people who are similar. But then I wonder if I was in that situation, would I know anything about like British culture, like British people? And now it's great. Like I have British friends and I'm actually still in Oxford right now. And some of my friends who are British have like offered to let me stay with them over the summer. So it's just like really nice. But as an international student in Oxford, I would say like it's like probably similar to being a UK student, but you tend to be more involved in all the clubs and societies because there are so many like national societies. So like I'm in the Oxford Thai Society and in the Australian Society. There's also like a ton of like religious organizations if you are a religious person. So you get to meet people from all different parts of like Oxford life. So yeah, like clubs and societies are a big part of meeting people beyond your college. And they're always like, I think like as an international student as well, it's really nice if you meet other internationals because you can like go to London for the weekend or travel around, because all of this, unless you've lived in the UK or you've been here before, is so new as well. Even just like discovering like a fish and chip shop was like something quite new. So I think being an international student in Oxford, like it's amazing firstly for everyone just because it is Oxford and like it is physically very beautiful, but secondly because it is quite new, so you're almost like a child, like you're just like always in, not always, but like often in awe of like, wow, this is so cool. And then my friends who are British would be like, this is so normal to me, and you're like, whoa, but I really like this. So it's nice like that, like you get impressed by little things.
That other than clubs and societies, there are lots of drinking events as well for you to meet your friends and just hang out with others, like pub crawls, like yeah, college bar crawls. Like you can just go to other colleges if you have friends in the other colleges. They just take you into their college and show you around, because like I think in Oxford and or maybe also Cambridge, like these colleges are like little communities and families. So when you can go to other colleges to see what they're doing, what their like bars and JCRs are like. I think it's a really interesting experience. And
do you remember before I came to Oxford, and in the US, for example, the drinking age is much higher, and I was very worried that since everyone was drinking because they were like 18, I was really worried that there was going to be a ton of peer pressure and that I was going to be expected to like dive right into that, even though it was something that was new to me because it's not how it is in the US. But then I came to Oxford and I was stressing about this pretty much, like a lot. And then I came to Oxford and that just didn't happen at all. Like there was no peer pressure to participate in anything like that.
And finally, what advice do you have for international students who are thinking of applying?
I would just recommend to like look for something you really like and go for it. I mean, like before applying. So just start it out by just checking out stuff you like. It can be YouTube videos, it can be books, it can be podcasts, and there's like the internet is huge, so you'll surely find something about it. So you can just test it out.
For advice, I definitely say like do consider it, because I know that I was kind of felt very distant from the application process being so far away, and it didn't really feel very real to me or very realistic. But I think even if that happens, like continue pushing through and continue applying, because it ultimately all turns out like very worth it.
Yeah, I'd mirror that. I'd say just apply, especially if you're applying to the UK anyway, and there's a course here that really catches your eye. You have nothing to lose by applying. And it, like you said, it can turn out to be a wonderful experience.
Because I think you can decide whether you want to go after you get in or don't get in. So it's probably a good idea to apply.
So like probably do some research about the college and the department.
Great, that was some really good advice. Hope that you thought this was useful and found out a bit more about what it's like to be an international student at Mansfield and Oxford. Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.